Hello, everyone, and welcome to Animal Advocates Radio Voices Carry for Animals number 483 shows and counting. Today, we're at a different time zone at 3 o'clock Eastern. Next week, we'll resume back at 7 o'clock. My guest is from the UK I'm connecting with, so this is just so wonderful to have him back, and I want to welcome him back. And his name is Spencer Hodges, and he is going to be with us today. And I want to hope everybody enjoys the show. And welcome aboard.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, how are you doing there, Mama Cat?
I'm
So
doing good.
we're at a different time today, but next week we will be back at the regular time at 7 o'clock. And I just want to go over a couple things before we do get started here. My name is Debbie Dahmer, aka Mama Bear, and Mama Bear does care because she's on the air. So I want to welcome all of you out there to that's listening in on the web. We are going live stream from Podbean Podcast app. So if you would like to join us, it's just a short, couple easy steps to take. You go to the voices carry for animals .podbean.com and follow and subscribe to my voices carry for animals podcast, and you're in on the web. Okay, and then you could come over to the uh, Podbean podcast app and player, and you could download that free from either Google Play or Apple Store, and then follow my podcast, and you will be in the chat room. And this chat room is so nice, and everybody loves it. A big shout out to Podbean podcast and player. This is modern technology at its best, right, Mama Cat? I mean, it is unbelievable. But I just want to go over a couple things, and I got Spencer waiting to come on air, and I say hello to Carolyn. But all you ones that's listening on the web, and if you want to join us, feel free, or you can contact me, either by the Facebook Messenger, or you can also contact me at Voices Carrier for Animals at AOL.com. Okay, so we're going to do that, and hope you join us because I got some good news. I reached my 20 hours of listening time, Mama Cat, on Podbean. So I got 24 more hours to go, and I will reach another high level. Right now, I'm still on the newbie level, so I like that name.
Let's
And then
just stay plugged in. Let's just stay plugged in for a day.
the newbie alert. And also, too, I reached 200 listeners on Podbean, so we can always increase that and keep going up because it's going to take some time to get there. It won't happen overnight. And everyone that it doesn't know, because I have different, audiences, is that Blog Talk Radio closed down January the 31st, and a new door open here on Podbean podcast, and it has been going so good. So if you want to go back and listen to any of my former shows, they're all archived. Okay, voices carry for animals .podbean.com. Okay, and they're all located. You can listen and share 24/7. Okay, and there's like over 300 live podcasts, and also you can listen from podserve.fm. They're all on there also. You can follow me on there, and all the shows you can listen and share 24/7. So you just keep going. And if any of the shows before Animal Advocates Radio, which was on TS Radio Network, Marty Oakley voices carry for animals. She sadly passed away April the 1st of 2023, and she's the grassroots of all this Voices Carry for Animals. She trained me. She was a super team player. I mean, a super friend. But I kept going, and I wish I could have her see all this that's going on, how Voices Carry for Animals has exploded. Right, Mama Cat? I mean, it's out there, and I'm so happy for it. But you can also see those shows because I was trying to figure out because Marty Oakley has over 2,000 shows that she did, and I did over 75. I co-hosted with her on elder abuse back then. So you can always go to podchaser.com and search Voices Carry for Animals. And I also have a tribute to her on my Podbean podcast host website, and there's a link to it there. And they're all great shows, everyone. And a big thank you to all of you, all the former guests and callers that's been out there that's helping me along. I can't do it alone. I can't do without all of you. We made it a total success. And 483 shows today. This is just so wonderful. But anyway, hello, Harlan, and if you need to make copy, and I'd like to see your photo bombers coming through, Mama Cat. Wouldn't that be great? But I will, after the show gets downloaded, edited, and it will be published on 24 other podcast websites, okay? And if your followers or member on any of these, press go by there and press like or the love button or comments, and that will help me boost me up. And iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, podparadise.com. I mean, this list is huge, everyone, and I'm so happy to hear it. Amazon Podcast, podbay.fm, Rephonic, Boomplay, Castro, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Podchaser, Player.fm, and Listen Notes, Podcast Addict, Audible, Podcast Republic. I mean, we're going to keep going here, and this is just so great. And also on my two YouTube channels, Voices Carry for Animals podcast. And you can subscribe free, check it out. I just recently started up Animal Advocates Radio podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. I was just recently all about animals radio. John Bowden had transferred to them because they closed up, and I appreciate it so much, John Bowden, and thinking of me and everything. So, and also this show is coming live from my website, voicescarryforanimals.com. You can subscribe free and then go back and listen to any of these shows. It does have a podcast player on there, and you can listen to the last five shows on there from one link. So this is just so wonderful. But I'm going to be bringing on my guest and welcome him back, fifth anniversary of Reboundog. Spencer, you're live and in the air on air. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can and can
Yeah.
hear you good. Yes.
Well, thank you for
You
inviting me back. This must be 5, 6 years in a row, something like that. And I was thinking when I was out earlier today, Debbie, I can remember the first one, and you were still on Blog Talk Radio. And I remember thinking, how do I get access to this here in the UK? And it was like midnight because it was done at your local time. So it was midnight here, and I worked out that I could actually use Skype as a dial-in telephone number. So I dialed
yes.
into a telephone number. And I hadn't got a clue. I think it was the first podcast interview I'd ever done. I hadn't got a clue what to expect, but something must have clicked because we've been connected ever since. I was just listening to your reach when you were doing your introduction there. The vast reach you have with your show is phenomenal, and the number of shows you've done is certainly impressive. I remember Billy was a guest, Billy Groom was a guest a few months ago, and she raved about it on LinkedIn of how impactful your podcast is in the animal welfare world, for want of a description. And I think the reach is fantastic, especially now you've changed onto this Podbean thing and gone into a podcast platform. It's phenomenal because you've got the opportunity to share it to a wider audience.
Yes, and it's wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's just so uplifting and inspiring.
Yeah.
Because when I was on Blog Talk, they had the call-in number, which I really liked and everything.
Hmm.
And I was on there over 10.5 years. Okay,
Wow.
and I mean, it was like, wow, this is something else. And so this is all new to me with because it was only on the web, and this is the app and the web. So listeners can listen in from the web or the app.
Hmm.
And so when Billy was on here, it was another great stream from her. I always love to have returning guests because the more exposure, the better out there. And I that one time you did that was a midnight. I said I got to change the time on the ones out of the country because that's got to be tough.
Yeah, because it was like
So
finishing at 1 a.m. in the morning and I still having to wake up and going to work about 5 hours later or 4 hours later on a day job. And I'm going, what? And making sure you've got all the doors in the house shut so nobody else can, you're not disturbing family members trying to have a conversation because I tend not to. But it's, and the other thing I noticed in introduction is it does take a while to build. I
Yes, it
noticed the top,
does.
yeah, yeah. Everybody thinks this social media thing is like click of a finger and we'll get 10 million followers tomorrow, and it doesn't work like that unless you're selling rubbish. But I think what I see the symbiosis stream, but what we're both doing in different ways, is the slow educate. It's the education, isn't it? It's giving a voice to underserved communities, animals, and being able to invite different voices in, such as Billy, such as I believe you had Caroline Griffin in recently. Um, I believe Mindy and Judy have also been guests, but it's giving that diversity of viewpoints. And again, I agree with you on where you're saying you're bringing guests back on a recurring basis, because what we find is the conversation builds. Somebody will say something on a topic, whether it's how to get shelters. Mindy did one for ourselves recently with how to get shelters to embrace new tools, and whether it's training program, not some, etc. And it's those sort of conversations. Somebody will say something in it, and then it needs to be built on. There's always a takeaway, but it's actually growing that takeaway, and it doesn't have to happen the next week. It happen over a few months, if not longer than that.
Oh yeah, and so maybe once we all get continued here and keep going, we don't want to give up. 483 shows, and Spencer, next into the next month is my 11-year anniversary for
Congratulations.
Voices Carry for Animals.
I'm
From TS
impressed.
Radio Network over to Blog Talk, over to now Podbeam. So I always carried the number continuously, and I said I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. It knocked me down with Blog
So,
Talk
so what made?
Radio.
I'll
Yeah, go
come back
ahead.
to me in a bit. But what made you start it, Debbie?
Back then, it was in February of 2014. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and Marty Oakley, she had interviewed me a 2-hour show
Wow.
on TS Radio Network about my father, ex-professional wrestler Chief White Owl, okay, aka George Dahmer. He was my best friend, my dad, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Well, back in '08, he passed away in May 23rd, and he was severely neglected in a nursing home, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and which led to his death, bed sores stage 4 down to the bone,
Ouch.
dehydration. I mean, he was only for a temporary stay, because he had dementia.
Yeah.
And so did a 2-hour show on that. That was her biggest show, and I mean record breaking because the animals advocates was over there, the wrestling fans, the elder abuse because it was posted all over the place. And when we was talking about my father and everything for that 2-hour show, and I still have it, and I'm going to keep it because I download and everything. But after that, I stayed in contact with her, and I had brought up one time, I said, Marty, can we do like a show on animals, animal
Mm-hmm.
abuse and cruelty and stuff? And she said, yeah, we'll try a pilot show. And so I went ahead and named the show, and she did a logo, And the first show, oh Spencer, it blew up. Okay, I mean it was like, wow, what are we gonna do now, Marty? We was only gonna do one show, and so she says, oh, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. So I co-hosted with her like 4 or 5 shows, and I before this I was an animal advocate through social media and stuff, helping the
Yeah.
animals years back. So it was nothing new to me. Experience with, hey, how to take action, get the voices out there, recruit more people to help you out, with petitions or letters or whatever. And so I said, you know what, Marty? I said, we'll do these shows. She was hosting, I was co-hosting, and about the fifth or sixth show, she had called me. I was pulled over on the side, in the parking lot, and she says, "I got a surprise for you." And I said, "What's that?" And she says, "Now, Voices Care for Animals is your baby." And the phone hung up on her, went through the seat, went through the seat. And I had to call him back and go, I didn't mean to hang up on you, but this happened. And ever since then, it's been, it's been so great having this platform because she trained me on everything, through internet, the
Yeah.
phone, messenger. So she trained me, and then once March of 2014 came, she helped me to get Animal Advocates Radio together, set it up on Blog Talk and everything. And so she was always there for me. And so when I switched from Blog Talk to Podbean, I said, she's not here. I got to do this by myself, because I don't know anybody else on Podbean yet. So, but ever since then, I said, I'm not going to give it up. I'm being a positive light for these animals in such a very dark world for them. So, but that's how I got started, Spencer. And that
Fascinating.
was, yes, it's unbelievable. Yep. But this is what, it takes our voices. All of our voices and actions really do matter. I can't change anything, okay? But thousands of out there like me can. If we take that foot in the right direction and take that action, right? Just be all action. Let's talk. Let's do it.
There was a
Yes.
conversation I was in recently, and I won't get political, but because of the different um, political scenario in your country, for instance, where this issue of diversity, equity, and inclusivity is being cancelled as if it didn't exist for how I see it in the from here in the UK, and we were talking, and it went along the lines of, oh, do we sit here as individuals and rock gently on our rocking chairs and weep into our laps and do nothing and say end of the world is nigh? Or do we take the opposite view and say, well, actually, it's a huge opportunity for us as individuals through platforms such as Voices Carry for Animals and Reboundog to actually take action? But we can only do it if we collaborate, if we connect, and we can only do it. And that's where the strength comes from. Because it's not only teamwork; it's actually bringing different. As you know, I'm a huge fan of bringing different sectors of society together. I'm not, as your audience is probably aware, a fan of top-down leadership. It has to be, that happens a lot in what I phrase as the charity world, where it's providing a done-for-you solution, bit like what I sarcastically call a sticking plaster solution. What we have is an opportunity to actually engage people, those without the voices, so they're actually part of the equation, part of the solution. And this, going back to this scenario of where um, we've been reliant on government and large corporations to provide the solutions for us, I think in the next several years there's going to be a huge change where there's going to be massive, I'll use the word disruptive initiatives coming out, that are totally inclusive of marginalized, disenfranchised people, which will benefit animals that don't have a say, don't have a voice to be heard, and have been abused in various ways, whether they've been manipulated through puppy mills or whether they've just been badly trained. And I think the other thing is this: out of this, there's going to be a new take on education. And if you look at that from pet. I don't like the word ownership. I'm not a fan of the American phrase of pet garden, pet parent either, so I'm not sure what the right word is. But for those that have pets in their lives, there's been decades of controlling pet behaviors under the pseudonym of training. And I think there's going to be an awareness of a more holistic relationship with the animal. So it's part of our society, part of our family. And instead of, we've seen it time and time again in conversations within Reboundog, where I'll say in the States, where you are, one of the problems with animal welfare is pets are treated as, by law, are treated as property, and therefore they can be disposed of as if you get rid of your laptop that stopped working. It happens in the UK. We're about to rescue a new dog in just over 24 hours' time. She's 2 years old. The story is that she came from a lady that was elderly and had to go into a nursing home, so she couldn't cope. And then the second story is that after that she'd gone to a family with a teenage girl and didn't like the way the dog sort of was. She's not snappy. Her breed is snappy by definition, but it's not. She was just hyperactive, for want of a very nice word. And what I thought of, or we thought of afterwards, it wasn't so much in using that scenario of education of how we have animals in our lives. I don't think it was the case of the dog's at fault. The dog doesn't have a problem. The dog is the dog. What we need to do going forward is start to educate, create education, so people who maybe haven't had a dog in their life, and we saw this, you must have seen it in the States as well as we did over here, this horrendous thing during COVID lockdown where people went out and got dogs as pseudo-therapy dogs, because here in the UK it gave them legal right to go out of the house, and then had no experience of having a dog in their life, owning a dog, whatever you call it, and then disbanded it when they decided to go back to work or circumstances changed or they couldn't afford it. So I think there's a huge opportunity for both our audiences, both our networks to, you mentioned the word teams, to come together to create these collaborations. So they are meaningful. They do create meaningful change. And I think in the next decade, we will start to see a more inclusive society, not for the whole world. The whole world's too big to change, but I think together we will change a sector of society. And if we can leave that as a what's the word, hand me down to future generations, I don't think from what we're both doing we'll have done too badly.
Oh yeah, and what you're doing out there is so inspiring. You're working hard. You got a super team going on there, Spencer. And that's what it takes. Coming together, working together, and hitting them goals. Those victories and those big positive changes in animals and humans' lives because they so well deserve. I mean, I just yesterday I found out here in Florida we had two big victories here for the animals, okay? And it was Trooper's Law here, where a dog was left out during out in the bad storm, hurricanes, chained to a fence, water almost up to his neck. A state highway, which a trooper, you know, uh, finally, rescued him and then adopted him later on, and they got a law for him now where Governor DeSantis signed it into law.
Wow.
And so that right there, a big shout out to Governor Ron DeSantis out there for signing this troopers law. And, he was tethered to a fence on a highway. And so see how I mean, when this happened, and I remember it happening, because it was all over the news. And it took teamwork from the start to the victory, okay? And I mean, strong leaders and strong supporters leads to strong victories. And then we had the other law signed in, Dexter's Law, here in Florida, and it's going to. I'll read right here on Troopers Law. I'm sorry to jump like this, but it makes it a felony to restrain and abandon a dog during a declared disaster or evacuation, punishable up to 5 years in prison and $10,000 fine. Okay. And so the laws are getting stricter, okay, here in Florida, which is good. And Dexter's law was named after a shelter dog that was brutally killed in Pinellas County days after being adopted. Okay, so increases the penalties for that. These animals do not deserve this, to be neglected, abused, the cruelty going on. So we have to be part of the solutions and discuss them and take that action. Whatever we could do. And the more of us get together, like Mama Cat always says, strength in numbers. And that's so true, Spencer, from every angle. The more of us get together, the stronger we become. So we have to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and make it better. Because you, as yourself, are true inspiration to humans and animals, okay? And keep it up because what you're doing in 5 years already, hey, keep going there, Spencer. We're all for you.
I always say I'm like a dog with a bone. I won't give it up.
That's right.
It's quite a milestone. But I've always seen this thing that um, a lot of people look at the pet animal thing and think it's just an animal thing, but it does involve humans. And I'm just going back over some show notes from Beth when she came on the first. Now we've changed the production state, like you've changed to Podbean, we've changed, and Ben Phoenix is our super producer of our sofa meetups now. And the first one, Beth came back on. Um, I say as a guinea pig, she's probably listening somewhere or watched the recall, and she picked up on the thing about teaching children about the human and animal bond, which will foster a compassionate society. That's one thing I picked up. And then the other show note when Billy came on in January, she was talking on purpose-driven leadership with Isa, our business coach, and they were looking at the issue of, she was saying along the lines of the pet advocacy sector requires more genuine disruptive leaders who can challenge the status quo, because that's what's necessary. We've become, it's not just in our sector, I think everywhere, the status quo obviously by its default predominates, and we need to find innovative ways to how do we disrupt that? And that's what I think we're doing. I believe Reboundog with the sofa meetups are doing. It's giving access to a group of, I'm terrible with the labels, experts, leading voices in different fields. Whether it's recently we've been looking at the impact AI will have, because everybody's got their own opinions of what what do you call it, ChatGTP will do and how it's controlling. And the other issue I touch on is, I think Zuckerberg was talking about creating being AI being able to break loneliness, and I'll come to that in a minute. So we need to find explore how we can create those collaborations. And what we're finding on the sofa meetups, we're getting different voices by having 3 or 4 people in at a time who are bringing different viewpoints together. And it's that casual conversation. We've always designed them so they're designed as if you're sitting on a sofa in your favorite hotel in Baton Rouge or Miami or wherever, having a chin wag with a colleague, and then by live streaming, then we can enable the whole world to listen in and join the chat to comment. So it's giving access to those who wouldn't necessarily have access to some of the guests we have in. They might not have the access because of their status. They might be just a startup business, or they might just be a what you call in the States a vet tech, who can't get access to a senior consultant in the veterinary world because of their status. and it's breaking those barriers down, and it's working. It's like your show, it works because it's attracting an audience. It's starting to show follows. I think we've had, in the 7 episodes Ben reproduced, I think we've had 500 to 600. It's over 500. It's probably pushing on 600 people registered to attend them, and that's global. Recently, I did some data. I haven't got them in front of me, but it shows where people are in the world, which countries are leading against us. The States is probably the biggest audience because it's by default because of its size. And we've got lots of interesting things planned. We want to start doing them in person. We'll start that in the UK. And it looks at, it's not just disrupting the animal world, it's looking at the whole issue of social impact and how social impact and social good and how businesses can be social good. Because you've probably heard me say before, I've read some of that stuff. I'm a huge fan of helping business, inspiring businesses to be a force for good, a force for social good. There's the old way of doing it. Oh, well, we're $1 million company, we'll write a check out to the local rescue or something, and it's a token effort. I think businesses need in this century and definitely in the next 20 years actually need to step up to the mark and work out why they're in business. And it's not always just to create dollars and pounds and size and things. There's data around that shows what you call the Gen Zs and the millennials prefer to buy off a business that's doing something good. So there's a huge opportunity, and I think there's a need for help, for want of a word, to the animal rescue world struggles because of its financial model of being non-profit and attracting donations. We saw that especially during COVID. I noticed it here in the UK, the income just dropped. So there's an opportunity for a hybrid business model between for-profit and non-profit to enable the non-profits to survive. So they're more strategic in their business operations. The local small rescue where we're rescuing from on Saturday, I think their bill is somewhere around £3 million per year overheads. So you're looking at $5 million ish. I'm not being accurate on maths. It's one hell of a size business as a non-profit and that's just turning over. That's just surviving. So how do you succeed, and that's just one. So if you extrapolate that across the UK and the US as two sectors we understand, it's huge, and it's running on a shoestring, except for some of the big ones, the huge nationals and that you have in the States and we have over here. But the majority are, and the other issue that came up recently, I won't touch on it because it's not my favourite subject. There was one where there was a rescue and they started, so I better finish. They found 38 dogs there and they weren't living, and they're purporting to be a rescue. And there's now a call in the UK for rescue shelters, as you call them, to be licensed. And conversations we've had, it came up on the sofa meetup Mindy was there with Caroline Johnson. She was ex-CEO of this charity down the road from us, and she's now a vice chair of the National Trade Organisation for Dogs and Cats Homes. And she said it's who polices it? If we bring in legislation that actually calls for rescue shelters to be licensed, who actually goes and enforces? Who monitors it? Because I touched on politics and economics earlier. It's where does the money come from? Where do the resources come from? So if we're going to look at legislation, we need to look at legislation that's affordable, affordable and enforceable, because otherwise it's just a piece of paper that does nothing and costs a lot of people in lawyer fees. So there's huge opportunities for disruption, for collaboration, for innovative thinking, and I think we'll change things. No, I don't think. I know we'll change things. I'm convinced.
Yeah, and in a few minutes, I'm going to be taking callers if anybody wants to call in. And if, like I said, like if you're listening from the web, you're more than welcome to join us here over on the Podbean podcast app. Okay, just start up an account www.voicescarryforanimals.podbean.com and so subscribe and follow Voices Carry for Animals podcast. It's required by Podbean to for you to connect to the app. Okay, so if you just want to listen in, you can too. But if you want to speak on air and you have a laptop or tablet or iPad, you can use your headphones or earbuds with mic and connect that way. But once you download the app from either Google Store or I'm sorry, Google Play or Apple Store, and then follow Voices Carry for Animals podcast, you are in. And then you could join us and get the word out. A lot, Spencer, a lot of people they say that's too confusing to me. That's too modern. Or I said you got to at least try, right? And all my guests and everybody I've helped through this, because I had to learn myself also. So I watch a lot of videos, and thanks to Podbean and YouTube, I learned a lot, and I'm still learning. I'm still that newbie. So I told him, I said, you got to give it a chance and try because we have to. The modern technology today is really advanced. So I found a QR code that I could use. You scan it and it goes right to the website. Or I mean, it is amazing. And I didn't know that much about QR codes, but this it just I am willing to learn anything. Okay, and I will try my best. But if anybody, we'll be taking calls in a few minutes. Okay, so if you want to talk Mama Cat or Carolyn or Swim for Freedom MMA, you're more than welcome to the lower right hand corner of the screen. There's a phone icon. Just press and alert me that you want to speak on air. Just try to stay away from many noises or conversations, TVs, radios in the background. Okay. But Spencer, you want to give out your website, and also everyone, they have a channel on YouTube, okay, and which is great. So go ahead and give me your website and anywhere they
the,
can
the,
help contact you. Go ahead.
the website is Reboundog, which is REBOUNDOUG.com. So it's Reboundog, one word with only one D in the middle. And the YouTube channel, which I'd love you to all to subscribe to, is rebounddog.tv on YouTube. And you'll find the recordings of the last 7 professionally produced sofa meetups there, along with all the shorts.
That's great. And also on Facebook too, everyone. Check that out. I mean, because he's out there working hard, and he would love to have your support. How you could, get involved because communication's our best answer. You're getting out there on social media and sharing things, and that's what I do. I'm on X and LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'm fast, Spencer. I makes my head spin. I pull about 4 tabs and keep moving. Copy paste this that. I said, wait a minute, I need a break.
And
So
then you can also find Rebound Dog News. That is the newsletter. I'm trying to think what the email of the website of that is because I tend to open it and forget about what it is.
yeah, you know what you also have on there. And I wanted to thank you for years. You've had my podcast on there promoting it.
Yeah,
And thank you. But the latest I looked, it was Blog Talk. So I don't know.
I need. There's
Yeah, I'll
lots
send you
of
the link.
there's lots of
Thank
work
you.
going on in Rebound Dog, but yes, I'm quite willing to support because it comes down to values. I think that's the main thing that is essential if we're going to change this world. Is standing by our values. Rebound Dog has 3. I don't. If as a business, I don't think you should have any more, but they should be embedded in everything you do. And ours are trust, curious, and transparent. And trust is essential in you talked about communications, and it's one of the biggest failings in negotiations and change is the lack of trust. Um, Everybody builds silos around themselves. They're full of ego and they have this lack of trust. So we need to create a space. This is what the sofa meetups do, and we found is they're creating, like you do here, they're creating that safe space where people can have open conversations. And if they've got a slightly stronger viewpoint, it can be listened to. It doesn't have to be criticized. Um, the curious and transparent actually comes from Deborah Hamilton, who's been a guest of yours many times,
Yes,
is
awesome. Yes.
in her mediation work. And we need these curious conversations because too often they're hierarchical, they're top down, and I'm right and you're wrong, and this is, like Sinatra said, we'll do it my way, because it's the only way. But we need to be curious and exploratory in our conversations, and we need to be transparent in who we are, um, what we do, and why we're doing it. There doesn't need to be a hidden agenda. We need to do it, and we need to lead with values and purpose. And
Yes.
that's what the sofa meetups are designed to do, is create that space where those trust enables curious and transparent conversations. And we're finding it works, which is why I'd love to do some in person.
Yes. And you spoke of Deborah Hamilton. I've had her on several times, and she's a great speaker. She has Why Do Pets Matter, everyone. And she's also on Podbean. That's how I figure, where I started looking. And that's something. And look, I said, I'm going to check this one out because she interviewed me, was it like over a year and a half ago on her show. So after that, I was like, hey, I really, like doing this and everything. So that's when I got hooked up. But she's great. I mean, you're Billy Groom also. They're also, what a team you got there, Spencer. A great team, you know?
But that's what it needs, and it needs those diverse voices that have and same with Beth Miller, with it's bringing in that diversity and that respect for each other.
Yes, I've even had her on, and I need to contact her to bring her on again. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, because if you've followed her on social media on LinkedIn, she just started a new role. Well, she started launches in autumn in the University of Dayton in Ohio, leading a social impact change program, which is
Hmm.
absolutely amazing. Yeah, if you
Okay.
want, the other one is, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on LinkedIn under my name of Spencer B. Hodgetts. And also there's the newsletter site, which is rebounddog.news, which you can find a lot of my thoughts and my thinking and comments from other people.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. Okay. Do you want? Does anybody want? Aloha. Do you want to speak? Press that um, phone
Hello?
icon. Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me? Go
I can hear
ahead.
you. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me?
Welcome on the show again. This is awesome. My Facebook friend, my
Hello,
awesome face.
Spencer.
Hi,
Yes.
Hi. Yes, I chimed into one of your shows and you had Christopher. Christopher.
as Christopher Lafayette, the AI guy to
Yes.
California.
Yes. And he inspired me. So thank you so much for inviting me as your guest.
He's very inspiring because he he's got some fantastic views on how AI can be used for social good.
Mm-hmm.
And though he comes out of Silicon Valley, it's not looking at it from a big business perspective. It's what it does through his Gatherverse platform that becomes, as I talked about earlier, it becomes this enabling it to be a tool that for betterment, for good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a great guest.
Yes. And the way he speaks articulately, though, because since we're both minorities within the United States, and I'm one of them, it has had an impact on me because the way we speak, and not that everyone is prejudiced, but there's still some discrimination going on. if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
And I
Yeah,
have to bring it up, Debbie, because it's some truth to it. Despite there's diversity and everyone wants to unite, some of us aren't evolved, if you know what I mean.
hmm
Oh yeah, we gotta work like in the United States. United we stand. That's all of us.
Yes.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
not if you're white or black or
Thank
Democrat or
you.
Republican or
Yeah.
or you're gay or straight. It's all of us together.
Yes.
There's too many differences out there. I see so much fighting going on social media over politics. It's like you can't get nowhere arguing with strangers behind computers or laptops. Come over this way and help us out, right? Think
Yeah.
about it, because that's not going to get them anywhere. It's not going to change anything. And that's what we need, more unity in this world, coming together, working together. And I just like with Governor Ron DeSantis, okay?
Hmm.
With everyone out there, this is two victories that just come through. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. This is working together. They wasn't labeling, okay, all these people that helped us out are all Republicans, or all Democrats, or all whites, or all blacks. No, we're all as one. We're one voice. And that's how the victories come in. Put
And
every
it limits
difference
the
aside.
breakthrough.
Well, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but it limits the breakthrough as a collective.
Yep. So we have to work together. I've heard, so, well, they're not my political party. Well, how are you going to get anywhere if you just choose sides and just stay there and not take action? You're not going to get nowhere. So we have to, in the Democratic and Republican parties, House and Senate, they're all mixed in there. Okay. Democrats are not all Democrats in there, or on the Senate
Mhm.
side, or the Republicans. Same with this. It just, I look at it and I say, you know what? And then they want to badmouth President Trump. We have to have more dignity and respect in this world. He's up there with the elderly, okay, and they can't leave him alone. They just keep going. Let him do his job. And if he signs anything, then that's the president signing it, and that's not. He can't just go in and say, "Okay, I'm against all of this party, or all blacks, or whites, or this or that." He cannot do that. So
Mhm.
we have to. When I was staying up for elder abuse, I still do. I still have a group, on for help stop elder abuse, or on any of my pages. I don't say, "Hey, are you a Democrat or Republican or white or black or gay or straight?" I don't do that. There's everybody's mixed in there as one, right?
Mhm.
And that's a way to do it. And if I see any fight breaks out, I will not tolerate it, because that's what you got to do. Say, hey, I don't want no political stuff on my page, because I am going. I don't want to waste my time arguing with people, because some of them get so mean,
Mhm.
and I mean nasty towards each other, and that's not right. We have to find more dignity and respect for each other. Because it's lacking it badly, and working together. And I look at Harold and I say, why does this take so long, year after year, decade after
Mm.
decade? The same vicious cycle. Too many issues, not enough action takers. Okay, too much separation of this one, of that one. I notice a lot of things on social media where they don't go over and multitask and help each other out, because that doubles, triples, quadruples in strength when you do that. So we are lacking it very badly in that area, and we have to do better. I try on my best with social media, and I see so much going on, behind the scenes, of getting very nasty with each other, or they don't want to help you out
Yes.
because they're in this group. Hey, who's the king? Who's the queen? This and that. go on ego trips,
Yes,
and
yes,
and none of us are getting paid for it. To go on. This is our time, our special time, meaningful time. So I'm going to do something that's a shining light in this world, in a very dark world, because that's what it needs. And all of us coming together. I've had somebody say, "Hey, you got a great super team going on there," and I said, "You know what? I am so proud and so thankful for all of them because we work good together. We're not backstabbing each other and bad mouthing each other. We're working together as a team, and that's what it takes in anything out there, businesses, athletics. I mean, anything that even through what you're doing at home, it takes teamwork. Hey, get that house clean. Everybody pitch in or whatever. But that's what we need here. We need more dignity and respect in this world because, and then we'll find out changes will happen so much faster.
yeah.
Let's get the elderly out of the harm's way. Let's get the children out of harm's way. Let's get the animals out of harm's way because
And
the longer they
some find
wait, oh, the longer it takes, and the longer they suffer.
their way.
So right?
Yes.
Do you see, just listening to both of you talking, and I see
Mhm.
that on social media, which is why I don't get involved in that side of it. But one of the topics that's come to my, well, it's been there for a long time, but it's in, is the topic of loneliness. And I was just curious how much you see in the United States amongst people, whether they're the elderly or the marginalized, for want of a phrase, where there's a lack of connection, where there's lack of conversation.
Well, that
Mhm.
that goes on a lot in the United States. Don't you think so, Harlan? I mean,
Yes.
it is massive. You could tell. And especially if I see you talk different ones, Facebook friends or whoever, and I say, hey, go adopt. They lost a pet or something or a loved one. Go and adopt a new furry loved one. Bring them into your life. They need that love and attention. A shelter is not right for them. I mean, they're safe, but that's not a TLC home. Adopt, don't shop, everyone, because that would help save lives. And out there, and with your dog Harry, Harlan, her
Yeah.
dog's name's Harry, and hers is Harlan. Spencer, isn't that cute?
Okay.
Yeah. I named my dog after my late dad. And my late dad. I'm named after my late dad.
That is so cute, though, and he's adorable. He is adorable.
Thank you.
But
He's a rescue dog.
yeah, isn't that awesome? And I
Yeah.
adopt, don't shop, because even Sugar Bear here, had her since what 2019, and she found a TLC home. I think the shelter was saying this. She had puppies, and they probably dumped her because after she had the puppies, okay, because she came into stray Alaskan Malamute, beautiful dog.
Mhm.
And I look at it and I say, you know what? Now she don't have to worry about being abandoned again, never again. So there's some sad stories with some bring them happiness because when they're happy.
Mhm.
You and a TLC, they all deserve, but they a lot of them don't. And that's what we got to work on. So yeah. But give a big Harry a big hug from me, okay?
I will. I will.
He's so adorable.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for letting me speak, Debbie and
Anytime.
Spencer. And I'll give others a chance. I didn't want to hog up
What
the conversation.
you talking a friend request for Spencer? He's on there.
Oh, oh,
We're
no,
connected
we're
on
friends.
we're
Yes.
connected on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
your friends? Okay.
Yes.
I got another
Just
caller. Wait a minute. Hold on one second. A swim for freedom. Can you? Okay, I'm gonna bring her on. Okay, there. And thanks, Carolyn, so much. Okay.
yeah, it's great to talk.
Yes, and swim for freedom, MMA. Can you send me? Press the right hand or the bottom screen for the phone icon to alert me. It came through. This thing come. Okay, here we go. Okay, you are live and on the air. You have any questions or comments for Spencer? How are you doing, Swim for Freedom MMA? This is awesome.
Hey,
You're live.
hey, Debbie. Yes, I am. I've been listening to everybody and taking it all in. To be honest, this is the first time I've heard of Spencer, and if it weren't for this podcast, I probably wouldn't know about it. Um,
Yeah. Hey, we're all come connected. I can't wait to have you come on here. Isn't that great?
yeah, exactly. I was when y'all were talking about the adopted dogs. I've owned dogs my whole life, and I've never bought a dog. Don't believe in it. Um, the last dog I have now, well, I had 3 dogs and they passed away simultaneously within like 16, 18 months of each other. And it's been 4.5 years. And this past October, I wasn't looking for a dog. I had decided I wasn't going through that again. You know, my last dog was 16, and you know, the heartbreak. Everybody that's a dog person knows the heartbreak if you lose one. So I said, I'm not getting another one. Wasn't looking for one, but I was always looking on Facebook, you know, for the adopted dogs, you know, that come up that were, you know, needing a home, even though I wasn't looking. But one day, and this is the power of social media, if you want to say, that our animal control posted a picture of this dog, and it was something in this dog's eyes. As many as I had looked at and said I wasn't going to get another dog, it was something in this dog's eyes in just the picture. And it was almost as if all 3 of my other dogs were speaking to me through this dog. And I contacted him and asked him about him, and I went down and I met him. And I said, well, let me think about this over the weekend. Of course, all weekend I was feeling bad because I walked out of there without him. But that Monday, I went and I got this dog. And his story, I found out his story from a friend that of the owner that surrendered him. He was an owner surrender. They said that he was vicious and that his children were scared of him. There is not a vicious hair on this dog. He is nothing but sweet and loving. And I renamed him Honu, which is Hawaiian for turtle. It is
That
amazing.
is a good
Isn't it the
turtle.
best name?
That's a good name.
Yeah, I mean, well, Debbie, you know I'm a big marine advocate, and I love all my animals, my sea
Yep.
mammals, and my
Yes, you
turtles and
do.
everything. And I'm a big turtle. I do the Save the Turtles. You know, I'm a big fan of the Turtle Hospital down in Marathon, Florida. But I had just been to Hawaii, and I spent so much time with the turtles, and I was swimming with, you know, swimming around and getting to see them and everything, and I just totally adore them. And then this dog comes up, you know, and I'm like, what am I going to name this dog? Because I wasn't going with Cheerio. I didn't like that. He didn't look like a Cheerio. So I just kept saying names.
Cheerio. You didn't name any of them Fruit Loops?
No. I'm like, okay, how did this dog get his name? Did the kid drop a Cheerio on the floor and he eat it or something? I mean,
That's a good one.
yeah, about as good as naming turtle, huh? But
I
yeah,
like that.
but I mean, I wanted something unique. I didn't want the same old, you know, same old names because he was such a unique dog. And it was almost like all 3 of my dogs, something from their personalities is in this one dog. And I swear it's like they sent him to me. I mean, it took me 4.5 years to open my heart up again. And then I'm like, why did I wait so long? It's because I was waiting for this dog. He needed me. He
That's
was
right.
he was so neglected. The people that owned him, the kids, they never spent any time with him. He lived outside his whole life. He's 6 years old. He's about 7 now. He was having to live up underneath the house. They kept a shock collar on him so he would not bark. This dog was just more petrified and just lonely, just so lonely. and just wanted attention and to be loved. And that's what a lot of, all these dogs that's in these shelters and everything that are just that's all they want. That's what they deserve, is to be loved, to be
Yes,
taken care of. And
that's right.
for people to get animals and then surrender them because they just all of a sudden decide they don't want them anymore, that's bullshit. I'm sorry for the language, but there's no other way to put it. They're full of crap. And I can't stand for that to happen to any animal. If you're not going to give it, your all and keep it your whole life, its whole life, because it's more than likely going to, pass away before you do. But, don't get it. If you love animals, but you don't think you can give your whole life to the dog, foster one, babysit them, anything, but don't take on the responsibility and turn them into the shelter. It's
It's
not right.
terrible. No, it's they have feelings just like we do. You know, they they're unconditional love, and they all of them deserve the best, and
And that's all
that's
this
a
dog
fact.
wanted. He just wanted love and attention. He used to dig out from the guy's fence and go next door to the man that lived next door. He had a swimming pool and had kids. And every time he'd hear the kids out there playing, he would dig out from under the fence and go next door. Well, the owner would go back and drag him back home and lock him back up in the fence. And I can only imagine what he did to him. Um, so the man that had the pool with the kids, he finally just told him, he said, look, leave him over here. He just wants to play with the kids. I will bring him home when we're done. When your neighbors care more about your dog than you do, there's something really wrong.
That's true. That's not good. You know, because they need the attention, and just like the two cats and the dog lives in this household, Victory and Liberty and Sugar Bear. You know, before they came here, I think Victory, his name was Hugs, and the owner, I found out from Humane Society, had stage 4 cancer and turned him in. Okay, and he gives hugs and kisses, right? And I'm like, wow, check this out. No signs of abuse or nothing like that. And then took another cat in from a friend of mine because her daughter was, allergic to cats. She was living on the street at 6 months old. Okay, that's cold hearted for any of them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so Sugar Bear was adopted back in 2019, and they're all happy campers. I mean, they don't have to worry about being abandoned or living on the streets, or they're getting the best care possible. The
Mm-hmm.
mama bear turns into mama cat, which is listening in with and because that's how I got mama bear, because the first dog bear, and then I got the name mama bear. So they all need attention. Some of them are so lonely. I see some of these photos. Cross posters out there, networkers, give me a big shout out for all these animals on death row and everything. And I don't know if you watched the video on Governor DeSantis's wife, Casey DeSantis, but I didn't know this. She helps out dogs and fostering and everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, this is amazing. I never knew that. And Governor Ron DeSantis' video on his page was stating that he would wake up, another dog would lick him on the face. Where'd you get this dog? Oh, I just had to rescue it. He was so cute.
Well,
So he was, this happened since he was married, but I never knew this. I was like, this is so heartwarming. They was,
I'm sure that has
wow.
a lot to do. I probably shouldn't voice my opinion this way, but them being the animal lovers that they are, and his wife especially, that's probably one of the main reasons why that law got passed about the animal cruelty. That
Oh,
he
yeah, the two.
exactly,
Yes.
and if they didn't care for the animals and love them that much, it probably would have just gone on the wayside. And that's what it's a shame that even if you're not an animal person, that you're gonna not care. That 90% of the world does care. We need those laws. We need to take action and protect them because they cannot protect themselves.
No. They're defenseless, helpless, voiceless, and innocent. And I know with Spencer, he sees a lot of that, right, Spencer? I mean,
Yeah, I was
you're
listening.
on front lines with that,
I was
and
listening to this and was thinking this comes down to what I was hinting at or just suggesting earlier, that we need, in addition to the legislation and so forth, it's this thing that we're working very strongly on, is re-education of people. It's a bad word. So we actually, and it's not going to work by trying to educate the person who had the dog this lady rescued from, where it was stuck under a house with a shot collar on and things. It's trying to find innovative ways to educate children. So we create a more compassionate society, because it won't be my generation that gets changed and changes our relationship in how we respect animals, whether cats, dogs, or bears. I think that is what is absolutely necessary to create a more equal society, where the animals aren't so voiceless. There's more respect shown as a sentient being, and I think it does. And it's not just old-fashioned education like we might have experienced in school. That this is what you need to learn. This is the way to do it. We need to involve the children, the disadvantaged, the disenfranchised people in that education process, to understand what they want and how they want to achieve it. So it's not just creating a new coaching program and saying, here you are, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and this is what you must do with a dog X, Y, and Z, because every dog is different.
Mm-hmm.
You both talked about dogs that are potentially aggressive, or purported to be aggressive, maybe, and it's not always the case.
No, it definitely was not the case with this dog here. It's just the fact that he was just tired of having to go retrieve him from the neighbor's yard, and got tired of having to deal with him. And the more so, I don't think the kids were taking care of him, and he didn't want nothing to do with him. And the dog had already been traumatized because at one time 2 bulldogs had gotten into his yard and attacked him.
Ouch.
And by the grace of God, he didn't suffer major injuries. The wife, the man's wife that was there, was able to get out there, and she beat the dogs off with a spoon. She said that's all she had in her hand. But just people that let their dogs run wild like that is a big issue over here, that we deal with, that end up getting run over, or attack other people's dogs, and then they end up in the shelters or the dog pound, because they're picked up, and then people just sometimes, and it's really sad, even though they own the dog and they know it's been picked up, they'll just leave it there. They'll just abandon it. And those dogs are heartbroken.
yes,
And it
yes,
breaks their spirit so bad. And when I first got home, his spirit was really broken. And once he got here, of course, him and the cat didn't get along right off. He didn't like the cat, and the cat hid for about a week. But now I call the cat a bully because he bullies the dog. But all he needed was to come in here and to have love and attention. And of course, he's an inside dog. We go walking every day and go out and play and everything. But I told him he'd never have to live outside ever again. And what really breaks your heart is whenever it storms here, this dog is petrified. I mean, he tries to get in my lap if I'm sitting in the chair. At night, he gets up in the bed. All he wants to do is just be loved and comforted. He is so scared. And all I can think about was him having to live underneath the house. It was a double wide trailer, actually. Live under that his whole life and being so scared of storms.
mm.
Poor baby.
Whoa. Yep. And then the all animals, I've been doing these podcasts for almost 11 years. They all deserve better lives and futures. And it's up to all of us to take care of business and get it done. Take that action, everyone, whatever you can do. And this is or when you came on swim for freedom. Was it several weeks ago with David and Tracy
David.
Hallgren
Uh-huh.
for the Dolphin Trilogy. Look what you're
Absolutely.
doing, and this is great. And I invite any guests to come in and multitask and speak out for the animals like you're doing. This is wonderful, and I got hooked up with you. I've got hooked up with so many of them, where I see them working together. That's what I call teamwork.
Well, that's it.
And it's
It
wonderful.
all ties
Thank
in
you.
together.
Yes.
It doesn't just pertain to dogs or cats or it's all animals. Dolphins, which are tremendously exploited right now, which is what the other show. But they need our help so bad because they're forced to live in concrete tanks. It's not their decision. Just like
No.
dogs that are put in shelters, that's not their decision. They don't want to be there. They want a home. They want to go home. That's all dolphins want is to go home. Lions and tigers and bears,
Oh
in
my.
zoos that don't belong
Yep.
there. They just want to be home in the wild where they're
Captivity.
supposed to be.
They don't belong in captivity.
No, they do not.
They need a TLC home and living free. I mean, a lot of my shows are about animals in captivity too.
Hmm.
And just like with David and Tracy Hallward for the Dolphin Trilogy, they're another great show.
Yeah,
And just to listen to these, I mean, it's coming in from all angles. All this captivity
it
going,
is. And you're talking
and
about
it's sad.
everybody needing to come together. I mean, all over the world, and
Yes.
with, the UK, and then us over here in the US. And
Yep.
we're fighting, like I mentioned on that last podcast, that we're dealing with Gulf World in Panama City, and they just had another dolphin die, which is the fifth one in 8 months. The last one was less than 2 months ago, and then this one 2 days ago.
See, it's terrible what's
I've
going
got
on.
David and Tracy. Of course, first thing I did was contact David, and I've got him over there and he's doing what he can to try to help us over here with that. So
Good.
it's not just, um, a one person deal. It's not a one group deal. Everybody has to come together to make this happen.
That's right. It takes a village. It takes a village,
It
everyone.
absolutely does.
You
And
know, and I appreciate you. I noticed when I was sharing this show, all everyone out there that's helped me on X and Facebook and LinkedIn. A big shout out to all of you ongoing support. This list is huge. And I see where you were sharing this show this evening. I was like, this is wonderful, just crossing over, multitask, hey, help over here, help over there.
hey,
And
absolutely. A lot of my friends, even, I mean, they're part, they've joined in my Swim for Freedom Marine Mammal Advocates. And for those of y'all don't know me, my name is Shelley. But I have a lot of friends that are rescue animal, like dog and cat rescue. One friend in particular, I work with her all the time about, going and rescuing dogs and providing, stuff for the animal shelters here. And then one of my other friends has cat rescue. I mean, so we're all, in the same deal. We're all one.
that's right. We're all working together and helping each other out. That is what I call super teamwork. I mean, I look at it and I say, hey, this is what it takes. I mean, this show, 483 shows, a lot of guests come on many times. Spencer's one of them, and he's always welcome back. And
Thank
Mama
you.
Cat, this list is huge. And, you're once you walk through the door, you're a part of the Voices Carry for Animals podcast family and working together and giving your information out, then how the others can help out, on the social media. That's what it takes. Let's see those positive changes come through. I know when I seen them two laws, Dexter's Law here in Florida, and also Trooper's Law get signed into legislation. I wanted to jump to the ceiling. I was like,
Yes,
wow, look at this. This is proof that when we all work together from the beginning to the end, that's teamwork all the way. You know,
absolutely, absolutely.
not
And if
one
it wasn't,
person could
if
do that.
if it wasn't for social media, and I'm going to go ahead and, and everybody sharing the information about that dog being tied to the fence. Because I saw it all over the place when it first happened. That was a big deal, was people getting involved, sharing the information, educating people about what's going on. I know, Spencer, you were talking about how huge a deal the education is, and with children. And that's, of course, where it's got to start there, but there's adults out there that, that need educating just as bad.
No,
Yes.
they do, Kelly. I just don't think they're
I
going to be
have
so easy to change.
Yep, you're
Yep.
right.
Some of my friends that had no idea about the atrocities going on in Taiji, where they were killing the dolphins and selling them for captivity, they had no idea. But when you start talking to them and they're like, oh man, I used to love SeaWorld, and then they're like, they're not setting foot back in that place again, and you just kind of think to yourself, how do these people not know what's going on? But they don't. And then, like that deal with the dog, none of us up here in Alabama or Georgia or, up in, the upper part of the United States would have never known anything about those dogs in Florida had it not been shared and people getting the word out.
That's
Shirley, do you
right.
think, thinking of education, do you think there's a potential for children to educate the adults? So for children,
Absolutely, I do. And the reason I say that is because one of my friends that I met because of my page, she's in Canada and she had two small children. And she talked about, the animals and the everything. And they are big animal lovers. And just teaching those children that they exploited it all through their school and through the teachers, and got the teachers involved in it, and got the teachers to start talking about issues with animals. And all their dogs they have were adopted dogs. And it's instilled in the children growing up by the parents, but then in turn the children are a big part of the parents learning from them.
yeah.
True.
That's right. Upbringing that goes a long way because that's where the children start. Teach them how to respect animals at a young age, and they grow up and move forward in their adult years doing the same. I know I was raised with pets with my parents, and always learn to, hey, respect the animals. Don't go up and hit them or pull their tail. You know, treat them with dignity and respect and care and love. And I went through and look. I'm an animal advocate for many years, and a podcast host and producer for animals. So it led me to the right way by them teaching me when I was a child in childhood. Having those pets and teaching me about animals and to respect them. Not you should scream at them and hit them and all that stuff. That's not necessary
Mm-hmm.
because they're lovable. There are furry loved ones or furry friends from the neighbors or friends that have them or their relatives. And animals love to be treated like that. They
Exactly.
want to be treated with care and love. It's nothing's difficult about that. So you're right. When you start them out young, I think they should, within the education, teach them more. Hey, take them to the shelters and get close. I seen photos where the children were on these school trips and were reading books to the animals in the shelters. I thought that was so heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
And they were small. And I said, look at this. This is what needs to be more of children connecting with animals and bringing the education and the awareness, how to treat them and not, because you hear these horrific stories going on and there's no excuses for it. All these animals deserve better lives and futures.
They do,
And it,
and as children, when your parents, because like we had animals ever since I can remember, but I believe wholeheartedly that when you have animals in the family with your children, that it teaches your children not only to see your compassion and how you treat things, but also it teaches them the responsibility and the love and the care that you can portray to these animals, and to respect them and to do right by them.
That's so true. They just keep putting the word out, and the education is so very important, and to bring them in the spotlight and say, hey, we are their only hope. Just all like you were saying, the captivity going on.
Hmm.
Many shows on it. They don't have a choice in the matter. They're
Right.
forced, okay, and it's not right because they're not happy. And whether it's let's say dog fighting or the dolphins in captivity, the whales, the dog racing or the horse racing, they don't have no choice in the matter. Horses and carriages. There's so many shows I've had on this stuff where animal slavery has to go. It has to end. Let them live in freedom. Lucy the elephant up in Canada.
Oh,
Look
I
at
know.
this fight. I mean, it is unbelievable what's going on. It's greed. When it comes down to it, it's greed. And
You just hit the nail on the head right there. It's all about the ever loving dollar and just people, being greedy.
yep, yep.
But you gotta blame the people too, because I know there's a ton of people out there that they're educated, they know exactly what's going on, but they refuse to do anything about it, or they refuse to say no. I'm not going to give my money to them people anymore. I want to see dolphins, so I'm going to go to that show. I don't care that they're slaves, or I'm going to go to that zoo and I want to see those elephants or those tigers because I may never get to see one anywhere else.
See, and what's the need for it? I mean, it's not needed. They can go live in their freedom, and enjoy their families and their lives out there. And I see it happening so much. It's like, look at these animals that are just, in captivity and have no choice. And it's sad. It's very sad. And you look at it and say, oh, this is all about profit before animals. It's all about the almighty dollar
It is.
and
And
greed.
the prime example is what's going on in Gulf World right now. Those dolphins that are left in there, that are being left in that putrid water, the filters haven't worked. The owners of the place have filed bankruptcy, but they continue to open and run shows. They were still letting people get into that pool to swim with the dolphins.
Oh
They
my gosh.
instructed the
Whoa.
employees, yet they instructed the employees to shower thoroughly when they got out of the water. Weren't telling the people, the guests, that. Some of I mean, you can't see in the water. The water's green. The filter hadn't worked since November. And David Holroyd would be the one to tell you all about the toxicity of this water. The dolphins are going blind. They're already keeping their eyes shut because they can't see. They're getting sick, and like I said, the other one died. We're still waiting to find out why it died 2 days ago. And I mean, it's not going to be hard to imagine what happened. But that owner will not send those dolphins, and he owns other facilities, is what's so bad. He won't send those dolphins to another facility. He won't let them go. I mean, we would rather them be put back in the Gulf of Mexico than to die in that pool. Yeah, their chances of living after being in captivity is slim, but it's way better than trying to live in that putrid water. But that owner knows that if that dolphin dies, he's going to put a big chunk of change in his pocket because those dolphins are insured. So he'd rather leave them there, let them suffer,
Oh.
so he can put money in his pocket.
Mm-mm.
So the system is totally broken.
It is broken, Spencer. It's terrible. It's all about money, and that's the issue. The rest of all these problems: greed, greed, greed.
Yeah.
And these animals, who pays the price? The animals. And this stuff's been going on year after year, decade after decade. And I've seen victories come through, yes, but they don't come around fast enough. You
No, they
know,
do not. No,
and
I
that's
that's
think
the
the
because
sad
not
system.
part.
everybody
I
is joining together. Everything
Yep.
that y'all keep harping about now about coming together. That's because you've got so many different groups out there that want to be individuals and do something. Oh, I did all this by myself. I stopped this. Or this group over here is like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to get money from people so we can do all of this so they can make money. But in the meantime, the real ones still suffering are the animals because you 2 groups or 3 groups or 20 groups have not come together as one and
Correct.
said, look, if we're all together, just think what we can do.
That's right. As one. Yeah, and
There's too much ego involved, isn't there?
oh yeah, you were so right, Spencer.
That's the problem.
Yes.
I've touched on that favourite word. Is silos. Everybody's stuck in their own silo. We've got the right answer. We've got the correct answer. This is how we're going to do it. We're more capable of raising money than you are, etc.
Yes.
And it's a load of crap. It doesn't work.
Yep.
It needs
Yeah.
a collective
No.
effort.
I mean,
That-
hide behind a shelter. I mean, calling themselves a charity, to get money in and say, they're going to save this animal, they're going to save that animal. This is what we're fighting for. But nothing ever gets done. But they've got all this money and like, okay, what have you done with this money? Why are those animals still in captivity?
That doesn't make sense. I mean, you could
No.
look at the problem, and Spencer, I wanted to really thank you on LinkedIn when you posted you comment or at the top, and you said let's save. How no, let's help Voices Care for Animals. Voices. Wait a minute. Voices. I gotta get that one because I'm gonna steal it there, Spencer. It was awesome. Let's help Voices Carry for Animals carry. I'll get it. I'm gonna look it up.
I think it was that, wasn't it? One of my subtle.
Yeah. I loved it. I was like, I am going to steal that one from Spencer.
You can have it. That's how I see it. Because you need to carry. You are playing on words. You are the carrier.
Yeah, voices do carry for animals if there is enough of us. If not, we're spinning our wheels. Okay. And that's what it takes out there because the ones that's getting the egos and all this other stuff, they need to stop because these animals, there's so many out there that's suffering, and just get them out of harm's way from every angle out there. I try to help out as much as I can, with anything I can because.
That I was thinking. There's a lady who's been a Reboundog member for a long time, like yourself, Debbie, that's may make a fascinating guest. She's a lady called Cheryl Joyce. She's Canadian, domiciled in the UK, and she has an app that's called Pet Pardon.
Pet Pardon?
Pet Pardon. And as I understand the technology, it allows people to make pledges, not donations, to shelters. If I got I'm a bit confused when it comes to the US, the way shelters and rescues operate differently. I think somebody can pledge to help the shelter move the dog into a rescue. If that's not, but she'd make a fantastic guest. If you want to check her out,
Yes.
she was on the sofa, not the last one with Christopher that Harolyn was on about, the one before.
Yes, and what's her name?
Cheryl Joyce.
Okay, I'll look her up and send her an invitation and thank you.
But
Here it is.
It's the work that she's doing to address that horrendous situation you have because her market is in the States. We were talking the other day, and we were talking about Belgian Malinois, the working police dog, the sort of shepherd thing, and she said I could probably name every state in the United States where there's a Malinois problem. For her knowledge is vast on that sector. And the other lady, I'm not sure whether did you know Jody Tish?
Jody. I'm not sure. I mean, the name is familiar. Is she on LinkedIn or
yes, she's in Texas. She's in Austin. She was on the sofa meetup back in February with Billy, and they were talking about mindset, of how mindset impacts the way we have a relationship, how our mindset impacts the way we have a relationship with animals.
Okay.
Which is a great topic.
I will definitely look them up because, hey, the more, and I appreciate you recommending me that, but I found it, Spencer, you put on there, and I wanted to thank you because it was very inspiring and strong words that you put. I'm honored to be invited again by Debbie Dahmer onto her fantastic show. And then you put, let's make Voices Carry for Animals together. Isn't that wonderful, everyone? I love that.
Yeah,
Love it.
that's a
Me,
good
ah,
one.
oh,
I
Got a
have
new
my moments.
motto.
yeah, that's it. I'm going to steal it. I told him I'm going to steal it. I put it in the comment. I'm taking it.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's theirs. It's a gift.
I love it. Yeah, let's make voices carry for animals together. All right. You'll be seeing me posting that all over the place. I'm going to make my own post up. I even go, I'll make it GIF.
Well, guys, I'm going to get off here. Debbie, I appreciate you letting me come on there and ramble on and um,
Hey, you're doing fine.
get up
And
on
look
my
at
soapbox.
hey, when you come on here, you're always invited, like I said. And after this show is downloaded and I edit it and publish it, it will alert to all followers that this episode has been published, everyone. This is modern technology. Like when the show starts up, Podbeam on the followers will alert you that the show is starting up and join in, click join in and you can go right to the chat room. This is wonderful. Thank you, Podbean Podcast app. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it was nice
Yes.
chatting with everybody. And Spencer, I'm glad I now know about you, and I'll go on and be sure I follow everything and um,
Thank you.
chime in on all that you do. And I appreciate it. And Debbie, if you will post those links to him for me or send them to me because
Okay.
I missed what they were. I wasn't able to write them down.
I
But
would. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put the links in once I edit because it won't allow me to put the like the website links in there when I'm doing the temporary
yeah,
promo. But after I can, I'll put it all in there. All his rebound,
oh,
the
awesome.
YouTube, all that stuff, and
Thank
then
you.
yeah, because I always do that with all of them, because I don't know why they won't let me put the links in before, but that's fine. So, but anyway, everybody, I'm looking forward to having you on, Shelley, for Swim for Freedom MMA on Facebook,
All
everyone.
right. And that MMA is Marine Mammal Advocates, just in case you
Yep.
forgot.
Thanks for all you're doing. And
All
then,
right. Thank
but
you.
thank you, and I'll be in contact with you,
All
okay?
right.
And thanks for multitasking. You're awesome. I love when everybody multitask. Come over here, we
Yeah.
go over there.
Yeah. Plus, I have
Help
a
each other
job. Plus,
out.
I have a real job. I have to pay the bills, but I try to work it all in around it. Them will come before my work. Thank God I'm self-employed, right? All right.
Well,
Y'all have a wonderful afternoon, evening. I
Yes,
know in the UK it's late. It's later than
it,
it is here. So
I think it is.
I
Uh,
enjoyed chatting with everybody, and thank you once again. Bye bye.
yes,
Bye
thank
bye.
you.
Talk soon.
Yes.
Bye.
I love this teamwork there, this support, from everyone. Appreciate it from all of you. So, anyway, Mama Cat, did you want to speak on air to Spencer?
well, I do.
I was waiting for that, Ray.
Meow. You
Hi,
remember Mama Cat, don't you, Spencer? She's a former
Yeah.
guest and friend and helps me out, tag team partner. The Mama Bear and the Mama Cat.
We
Yep.
do it all.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. So glad to see you again. I hear you.
Right
Yep.
back at ya. Hey, Spencer, I just wanted to get on here quick and say hi and let you know that we appreciate all the hard work you're doing and I follow you. I didn't see you on Facebook for a long time. For some reason, I was not getting, of course, I,
I'm
have
not
like
a
two.
I'm not a huge fan. Um, there's a new version for Reboundog as a company page, which I'm not promoting at the moment because I'll be honest, I prefer LinkedIn, and I've been busy doing other things. I am there. I think my personal one's probably closed, as in, if you know me, you can join. But other than that, I need to do something about it. But um, I'll be honest, it's not my favorite place to spend time at the moment.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty hateful on there.
yeah, so I tend to keep out of it. I prefer LinkedIn. It's more, um, what's the word? It's more
Friendly.
professional. Is very, very lazy word to use at this time of night, but it is. It's more respectful.
Yeah.
I think Facebook has the potential, and we've seen it before, and it probably happens on X and things. The scenario. I think Debbie was talking about it, where there's all this hate speech and so forth, and it's just not my cup of tea. I've seen groups where they've been talking about whether it's raw food or a dog burnt shop and things. I thought, well, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah, there is a lot of hate out there, and I wish I had an answer to how to solve it, but you know,
I think I
engaging
think
with
I
a
think we
lot of
just
them
have to do
people
our
is,
own thing.
yeah, engaging with them does not help.
No.
So I just kind of steer clear, and I don't allow any kind of political stuff on my page. It doesn't help the animals, and that's what I'm all about, the animals. So if you want to spew your political hatred, go somewhere else. It's a battle I'm not willing to get involved in. So we just have to stick together for the animals. I know you do an awful lot in the UK for them. And, like I said, I haven't heard from you for a little bit. I still follow you on your webpage and stuff, but,
Thank you.
um, we got to stick together and keep working for the animals, because if we don't, nobody else is going to do it. They sure can't do it. So that's what I'll be doing, sticking up for the animals along with you and Debbie and a lot of other advocates out there.
You're a great advocate, all of you. I mean, what a super team. I couldn't ask for a better one. It's just so wonderful how we help each other out, and we're friends. We talk. We trust each other. It's just so amazing and so phenomenal. I
I
love it.
wanted to I wanted to share a story. Somebody was talking about, um I can't remember who it was, talking about their dog and cat, and that the cat didn't like the dog, but now the cat chases the dog. And I wanted to share, I had rescued a pigeon, and it's a kind of long story, but I couldn't find a vet that would take care of him, so I kind of doctored him on my own. I prayed about it, and the answers kind of just came. And he was really injured badly. His wing was broke, his leg was broke. He was shot with, I think we dug out like 9 BBs out of the poor little thing.
Oh
And
no.
I had that pigeon in my house. We built the cage right inside the wall so that the pigeon was safe because I had cats and dogs as well. And once that bird healed, I had a cat, and he was a big cat, and he messed with everybody else in the neighborhood. But this bird would chase that cat out of the house, and the cat was scared to death of the bird. I mean, he would take off running. He never stopped to fight, nothing. That cat would be gone. I thought it was quite funny at the time. This little bitty pigeon chasing a full grown big cat. It was funny.
What I seen today this morning? These, the cranes
Yep.
here in Florida. There was two of them, and a baby crane, right? And
Ah,
the cat that the neighbor takes care of him back was running from him. So I looked at him and ran. Poof! Like, what is that?
those are
So
big birds, though.
they are big. I'm telling you. Yep.
I might
So
run from them too.
yep. So me and the neighbor was laughing because we both seen it happen. It was a real big black cat. It was running. Bam. Seen them. It was like something out of Jurassic Park.
Right.
But anyway, everyone, I'm going to be closing it down today for the show. It's been another great show. All these amazing guests were and the callers. I mean, making it a total success. Mama Cat, it won't be before long till it'll be 500 shows.
Yeah.
So isn't that something? And we keep going, but it should be by the end of the year. But anyway, Spencer, I want to thank you so much for coming back on, and you're always welcome back. And congratulations on your 5 year anniversary. This is on Reboundog, everyone. And after I get it downloaded, this show, edited, and be published, and you can go back and listen 24/7 Okay, and it's going to be published on 24 other podcast websites, my two YouTube channels, Voices Carry for Animals and Animal Advocates Radio, and my also my website. But Mama Cat, always love your support. You rock, Mama Cat, and so do you, Spencer, and so do Harlan. And thank you for all your
Thank
support out
you.
there. And all, Shelly, thank you so much, Swim for Freedom MMA. Looking forward to having you on as a guest. And Spencer, I'll be getting with them to send them an invitation to come on the show. Next Thursday, we'll be back to regular time. I didn't want to bring Spencer in on at midnight, sorry, to 1 in the morning or whatever. But anyway, next week's show is going to be Justice for Destiny, and it's going to be Destiny's Law. That Pina, she's going to be my guest. Lost Hour, and she's going to be discussing what happened to her with Destiny. It's a sad story. She's just trying to get justice for Destiny, who was in a shelter, and then it's the story is like a total nightmare. But I hope you join us next week at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain, and 4 o'clock Pacific. Listen in worldwide, everyone. And please keep spreading the word. And let's see this podcast grow, and I can get out of this newbie level. Was a pro on Blog Talk, what, 10.5 years? Then I go back to the newbie. But that includes, listeners and how many listeners and how many, hours of listening. So, but it's been another, like I said, thank you so much, Spencer. Keep up the great work you're doing, you know, and
Excellent. Can I just leave you
yes,
with one thought? It isn't my quote. Are you familiar with a lady called Mother Teresa?
I'm sorry.
Are you familiar in the United States with a nun who was called Mother Teresa who did a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
humanity?
Yes, yes, definitely.
There's a thing on my laptop I've saved from years ago, and she said, "I can do things you cannot. You can do things I cannot. Together we can do great things."
So true,
That's
huh?
right.
Wow. Yeah. That words right there is so. I mean, the truth and reality of it. Strength in numbers, Mama Cat.
Right.
You
Yes, and
know.
I think it sums up what we've been talking about tonight with Ray, with Shelley, with Harolyn, and with yourself.
Yes. Yes. Together we are stronger and better together than apart. That's
Absolutely.
we are power numbers with I mean people power numbers, and we could do it. Put your mind to it, we could do it. So but anyway, I want to thank you all for ones that's tuning in on the web out there. Keep spreading the word. Come join us on the app sometime. I got the instructions on all the promo posts on Facebook and my pages and groups I admin, plus other ones, and helps from fans of animal rights on Facebook. A big thank you to them. They've been sharing for a long time, Fiona, and also on X, Voices Carry for Animals podcast on my personal page. You can Voices Carry for Animals Facebook page. You can follow that one, and my on Voices Carry for Animals support group on Facebook. There's dogs and cats on death row, my promos, petitions, everything like that. My website, voicescarryforanimals.com. And I got to give that to you also, Spencer. You could check it out, subscribe free. That came out a little later, but you can listen to the show right from there once it's downloaded. But
Okay,
I
that's
want
lovely.
to,
Thank you.
yes, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and hope you join us next week. And keep it up. I mean, take that action is the key to see positive changes made with animals. Okay, Mama Cat, are you ready? Hope you all have a wonderful evening, and may God bless you all. Go ahead, Mama Cat.
Paw
Oh,
in hand, united we stand against all animal cruelty and neglect across the land. Good night, everybody.
good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you,
Good night,
Spencer,
night.
everyone.
so
Thank you.
much. Thank you,
Take
Shelley
care.
Harlan.
Debbie. Bye, Spencer.
Bye.
Bye, Erin.
Bye. Take care. Bye, Debbie. Thank
Night,
you very much for
everyone.
having me.
Thank you.
Bye. Talk soon. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in Voices Care for Animals podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Debbie.
Night, Mama Cat. Love ya.
Love ya.